There is a machine that knows you better than your closest friends, better than your family, in some cases, better than you know yourself. And right now, it's being accused of destroying an entire generation. The average user opens TikTok 8 times a day. They spend 95 minutes scrolling. That's more time than they spend eating, more time than they spend talking to actual people. Instagram took 10 months to reach 100 million users. Facebook took 4.5 years. TikTok, 18 months. It didn't just grow faster, it consumed faster. So, is this just another moral panic? Another case of old people being scared of new technology? Is TikTok really different, or are we just afraid of what we don't understand? Every generation has its villain. Rock and roll corrupted the youth. Video games caused violence. Social media destroyed attention spans. Maybe TikTok is just the latest scapegoat. TikTok will tell you they're democratizing content creation, giving a voice to the voiceless, making entertainment accessible, and they're not entirely wrong. There are teenagers making 6 figures, artists getting discovered, small businesses being built on 15-second clips, real success, real opportunity, real money. But here's what they won't tell you in the terms and conditions. Here's what doesn't make it into the success story montages. We keep asking, is TikTok addictive? That's the wrong question. The right question is, was it designed to be? Because addiction isn't a bug in the system. It's not an unfortunate side effect. It is the system. It is the product. It is the entire business model. And we know this because the people who built it have said it, out loud, on record. They just hoped you weren't paying attention. Former Facebook executive Chamath Palihapitiya, quote, "We have created tools that are ripping apart the social fabric of how society works. Not might be, not could be, are." Sean Parker, Facebook's first president, God only knows what it's doing to our children's brains. The man who helped build the machine, admitting he doesn't know what the machine does. But TikTok isn't Facebook. It's not even close. Facebook took years to figure out what TikTok knew from day one, and what they knew was this. The fastest way to someone's brain isn't through their thoughts. It's not even through their emotions. It's through their reflexes, through the part of you that moves before you think, and they have 15 seconds to capture it. To understand how TikTok works, forget everything you think you know about social media, because TikTok isn't social media, it's something else entirely. Facebook shows you content from your friends. Instagram shows you content from people you follow. YouTube shows you videos you searched for. TikTok shows you whatever it wants. When you open TikTok, you don't see posts from accounts you've chosen to follow. You see the For You page, and the For You page is algorithmic from second one. This is the first critical difference. You don't choose what you see, the algorithm chooses for you, and it starts making decisions about you before you've even finished creating your account. It knows your device, your location, your language, how long you watch, what you skip, what you rewatch, what you share, what you screenshot, the exact moment you lose interest. But here's what most people don't realize. It's not just tracking what you do, it's tracking what you almost do. The videos you hover over, the ones you watch twice but don't like, the hesitation before you swipe. Think of it like this. Imagine you walk into a store and before you can say what you want, the shopkeeper hands you exactly the product you need, not what you asked for, what you need. You're impressed. How did you know? The shopkeeper smiles. I've been watching how you walk, where your eyes linger, how your breathing changes. I know what you want before you do. That would be creepy in real life, but on TikTok, it's the entire business model, and it works. God, does it work? The algorithm learns faster than any platform before it. Show it 3 videos you like about cooking, and suddenly your entire feed is recipes. But it doesn't stop there. It notices you watch the pasta video longer than the cake video, that you rewatch the carbonara tutorial. It files this away. Italian cuisine, comfort food, authentic technique, and then it starts testing. It shows you a video about Italian wine. You skip it. Not interested in alcohol. Noted. It shows you a video about Italian travel. You watch. Wanderlust detected. Cultural appreciation confirmed. Within hours, it knows you're not just interested in cooking. You're interested in authenticity, craftsmanship, things made with care. It's built a psychological profile, and you gave it away for free. Instagram's algorithm takes weeks to learn your preferences. TikTok takes 40 minutes. Some reports say it can accurately predict your interests in under 200 swipes. That's not just impressive, that's unnaturally good, and the reason it's so good is because of the second critical difference, the format. 15 seconds to 3 minutes, full screen, vertical, high energy, constant movement. This isn't arbitrary. Every single element is engineered. Vertical format means no distractions. You can't see comments. You can't see how many followers someone has. You can't see anything except the content. One video, your full attention. The length is even more calculated. 15 seconds is perfect. It's long enough to deliver a message, short enough that your brain never thinks this is a commitment. You're not investing time, you're just looking. And before you've even processed what you just watched, the next video is already playing. You don't choose to keep watching. Stopping requires a deliberate action. Continuing is the default. This is where it gets psychological. Every time you make a decision, your brain uses energy. Should I click this? Should I watch that? Should I keep going? TikTok removes the decision. Scrolling becomes effortless, thoughtless. You're not using TikTok. You're barely even watching TikTok. You're just there, present but not conscious, awake but not aware. Neuroscientists have a term for this state. They call it flow. But flow is supposed to happen when you're deeply engaged in meaningful work, when you're creating, when you're solving problems. TikTok has weaponized flow. It's given you the psychological state of deep work without any of the work, the satisfaction without the accomplishment, the reward without the effort. And this is where dopamine enters the picture, not the way you think. Because dopamine doesn't create pleasure, it creates wanting, it creates anticipation, it creates the hunt. When you pull the lever on a slot machine, the excitement isn't when you win, it's in the moment before you know, that gap between action and outcome. That's where addiction lives. Every swipe on TikTok is a slot machine pull. Will the next video be good? Will it be funny? Will it be the one that makes you feel something? You don't know, and that's exactly the point. This is called variable reward scheduling. It's the most addictive mechanism in behavioral psychology, more addictive than guaranteed rewards, more addictive than predictable patterns. In the 1950s, B.F. Skinner proved this with rats. Give them food every time they press a lever, they press it when hungry. Give them food randomly, they press it obsessively, they press it until exhaustion. TikTok has put humanity in a Skinner box, and we're pressing the lever 8 times a day, 95 minutes, some people 5 hours, 6 hours, until their eyes burn and their thumbs ache and they still can't stop. And here's the cruelest part. You know this is happening. You feel it, you recognize it, and you still can't stop. Because knowing about the mechanism doesn't make you immune to it. But what you've seen so far, that's just how it keeps you watching. The real damage isn't in the hours you lose, it's in what fills those hours. It's in what the algorithm decides you should see. Because TikTok doesn't care about truth. It doesn't care about health. It doesn't care about well-being. It cares about one metric and one metric only: engagement. If a video keeps you watching, it's successful. If it makes you watch the next one, it's successful. If it brings you back tomorrow, it's successful. Nothing else matters. Not quality, not accuracy, not consequences. And the content that generates the most engagement. It's not the inspiring stuff. It's not the educational content. It's outrage, conflict, controversy, extreme takes, dangerous ideas. Watch one video about politics and the algorithm starts testing. How far can it push you? It shows you something slightly more extreme. You watch. It shows you something even more extreme. You watch. Researchers at the Center for Countering Digital Hate created test accounts. Fresh users, no history. Within 40 minutes, accounts were being served content promoting eating disorders. 40 minutes, that's how long it took for the algorithm to decide a new user should see how to starve themselves, not by accident, not as a glitch, as a feature. And once you see one, the algorithm knows. It's learned something valuable about you. You're vulnerable, you're insecure, you're searching, and it will feed that vulnerability until you can't look away. Teen depression rates have doubled since 2010. Anxiety disorders are at record highs. Self-harm has increased by 62%. And while correlation isn't causation, the timeline is impossible to ignore. TikTok didn't invent body image issues, but it did perfect the delivery system. Endless streams of filtered faces, perfect bodies, impossible standards, all presented as just someone sharing their life. Instagram lets you compare yourself to models and celebrities, people you know aren't like you. TikTok shows you normal people who look perfect, people who are supposed to be like you, making you wonder, why don't I look like that? Then there's the misinformation, not the obvious stuff, the subtle kind. Medical advice from people with no credentials, financial tips from teenagers, life coaching from someone whose life is falling apart off camera. Because on TikTok, expertise doesn't matter. Charisma does. Confidence does. A good hook does. The person who speaks with certainty will always outperform the person who speaks with nuance. And when millions of people are taking medical advice from a 19-year-old with good lighting, when they're making financial decisions based on someone's vibe, the consequences aren't abstract. They're real. Then there are the challenges. Remember when we thought the ice bucket challenge was dangerous? TikTok has had challenges that resulted in deaths, plural, not accidents, direct causation. Because TikTok operates in what's called the attention economy. Your attention is the product, your time is the commodity, and in an attention economy, outrage and danger are features, not bugs. It's not just viewers who suffer, the creators are trapped too. To succeed on TikTok, you have to post constantly, multiple times a day, every day, forever. And the algorithm changes without warning. One day you're reaching millions, the next day, nothing. No explanation, no appeal, just silence. And you have no choice but to keep creating, hoping it comes back. The burnout rate among TikTok creators is staggering. People in their 20s talking about retirement, not because they've made it, because they're broken, physically, mentally, spiritually. TikTok sells itself on authenticity. Be yourself, they say. Show the real you. But what they mean is, perform authenticity, manufacture vulnerability, commodify your trauma, make your pain entertaining. And viewers form parasocial relationships. They feel like they know these creators. They feel like they're friends. But it's a one-way relationship, a performance, a business transaction dressed up as intimacy. Then there's the privacy issue, or rather, the complete lack of it. TikTok's data collection makes Facebook look restrained. It tracks everything, absolutely everything. In 2022, researchers discovered TikTok's in-app browser includes a keylogger. Every keystroke you make inside TikTok is recorded. Passwords, credit cards, private messages, everything. TikTok is owned by ByteDance, a Chinese company, and under Chinese law, companies must share data with the government if requested. TikTok says they wouldn't, but legally, they couldn't refuse. The US government has called TikTok a national security threat. India banned it entirely. Countries around the world are investigating, and TikTok's response is always the same. Trust us. But forget espionage for a moment. The real power isn't in stealing data, it's in controlling what 150 million Americans see, what they think, what they believe. That's not a security threat, that's a weapon. And we know the algorithm can be manipulated from the top. We know this because it's been caught. During the Hong Kong protests, videos critical of China mysteriously stopped spreading. TikTok claimed it was a bug, but bugs don't target specific political content. Bugs don't have geopolitical awareness. That's not a bug. That's editorial control masquerading as algorithm. And even without direct manipulation, the algorithm creates filter bubbles more extreme than anything Facebook managed, because TikTok doesn't just show you what you like, it shows you increasingly extreme versions of what you like. You start watching videos about fitness. Within days, you're seeing content about extreme diets, then supplements, then steroids, then body dysmorphia. The algorithm doesn't keep you where you are, it radicalizes you. And because TikTok curates reality itself, you start to believe this is normal. Everyone must be thinking about this. Everyone must be this extreme, because everyone in your feed is. But perhaps the cruelest trick is this. TikTok promises connection, community, belonging, and it delivers isolation, because watching other people live their lives is not the same as living yours. You're not connecting with people. You're consuming content about connection. You're not making friends. You're watching other people's friendships. You're not living. You're watching life happen to other people. And the time adds up. 95 minutes a day. That's 577 hours a year. That's 24 full days. That's nearly a month of your life, every year, gone. Not spent, not invested, just gone. What could you do with a month? You could learn a language, master an instrument, read 24 books, build something real, create something meaningful, or you could watch strangers dance. And the comparison to other addictions becomes unavoidable. If someone spent 95 minutes a day drinking, we'd call it alcoholism. If they spent it gambling, we'd call it a problem. But scrolling, that's just normal. We've normalized digital addiction, commercialized it, celebrated it. I'm so addicted to TikTok, people say, laughing, as if addiction is cute, as if dependency is a personality trait. And the children. God, the children. 8-year-olds with TikTok accounts, 10-year-olds filming dances, 12-year-olds being served content designed to manipulate adults. Their brains are still developing. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for self-control, doesn't fully mature until 25. You're giving slot machines to people who neurologically cannot resist them. And we're raising a generation that cannot focus, cannot sit still, cannot be bored, cannot be alone with their thoughts, because they've never had to. The algorithm has always been there, filling the silence. The average human attention span is now 8 seconds. Goldfish, 9 seconds. We are literally less focused than goldfish. And we think this is fine. We think this is just how things are now. TikTok will tell you they're working on it. Better moderation, more controls, time limits, but these are band-aids on bullet wounds. The wound is the business model itself. You cannot fix an addiction machine by making it slightly less addictive. You cannot make exploitation ethical. You cannot make manipulation responsible. The fundamental model is extraction, and extraction cannot be reformed. So the question isn't, how do we make TikTok better? The question is, should something like TikTok exist at all? And that's the question nobody wants to ask. But here's where it gets complicated, because even knowing all of this, even seeing the damage, even wanting to stop, you probably won't. And that's not a moral failing, that's the point. We've been trained to think addiction is an individual problem, personal weakness, lack of willpower. But when millions of people are addicted to the same thing, that's not individual failure, that's system design. TikTok spent billions designing this machine. They hired neuroscientists, behavioral psychologists, addiction specialists, not to help you, to hook you, and you're supposed to resist that with, what, discipline? It's like expecting someone to outrun a car using willpower. The game isn't fair. It was never meant to be fair. Fair doesn't maximize engagement. Exploitation does. So should TikTok be regulated? Probably. Should it be banned? Maybe. But here's the uncomfortable truth. TikTok isn't special. Instagram has Reels, YouTube has Shorts. Everyone is copying the formula. You could ban TikTok tomorrow and something worse would replace it next week. Because the attention economy isn't going away. The incentives haven't changed. The business model is too profitable. TikTok generated $14 billion in revenue last year. That's $14 billion reasons why this won't change voluntarily. That's $14 billion reasons why regulation will be fought tooth and nail. And they will fight. With lobbying, with PR campaigns, with carefully worded studies funded by the company itself, with creators who depend on the platform for their livelihood speaking out against any restrictions. They'll frame it as a free speech issue, as innovation being stifled, as government overreach, and they'll be partly right, because regulating algorithms is genuinely complicated. But complicated doesn't mean impossible. We regulate food, we regulate medicine, we regulate cars and planes and buildings, not because we hate innovation, because we value human life more than corporate profit. At least, we're supposed to. But somehow, digital products get a pass. It's just an app, they say, just entertainment, as if apps can't cause harm, as if digital addiction isn't real addiction, as if screen time isn't real time. Europe is trying. GDPR, the Digital Services Act, forcing transparency, demanding accountability. It's not perfect, but it's something. America, we're still debating whether Facebook should fact-check political ads. Because these companies have become more powerful than governments. TikTok has more influence over American teenagers than the Department of Education, more access to their attention than their own parents. And it's created a culture where we've forgotten what normal looks like. We've forgotten that humans existed for thousands of years without needing constant stimulation. That boredom isn't an emergency. Boredom is where creativity comes from, where introspection happens, where you figure out who you are and what you want. But we've eliminated boredom, and with it, we've eliminated the space to think. Every moment of silence is now filled with input. Waiting in line, scroll. Sitting on the toilet, scroll. Walking to your car, scroll. The algorithm has colonized every empty moment of your existence. And when you never hear your own thoughts, you start to lose them. Your internal voice, the one that used to narrate your life, gets quieter, and the algorithm's voice gets louder. You stop knowing what you actually like versus what the algorithm has trained you to like. You stop knowing what you actually think versus what you've been shown. Your preferences become predictions. Your identity becomes algorithmic. But there is resistance. There are people deleting the app, going on digital detoxes, setting boundaries, and they report something interesting. The first few days are hell. Genuine withdrawal, anxiety, compulsive phone checking. But then something shifts around day 5 or 6. The compulsion fades, and in its place, boredom, uncomfortable, restless boredom. But beneath the boredom, something else. Clarity. They start noticing things again. The world outside their screen. Colors seem brighter. Conversations feel deeper. Time feels slower. Not because the world changed, because they're finally present in it. And time expands. Those 95 daily minutes, they turn into actual experiences. Reading, creating, connecting, living. Not watching other people live, actually living. But here's the hard part. It requires opting out of culture, because TikTok references are everywhere. Everyone's talking about the latest viral video, the trending sound, the new challenge, and you're just not part of it. The fear of missing out is real and it's weaponized. Everyone is doing this. You have to see this. How have you not seen this? As if not consuming content is somehow failing at life. But what are you actually missing? Jokes you'll forget in 10 minutes? Dances you'll never do? Drama between people you'll never meet? When you list it out, the FOMO looks absurd. You're not missing out. You're opting in to something better. And there is a growing community of people making this choice. Not Luddites, not technophobes, people who understand technology well enough to know when it's using them instead of them using it. Some people find a middle path, time limits, specific use cases, only on weekends. But here's what the research shows. Moderation with addictive technology is incredibly difficult. Most people who try fail. Not because they're weak, because the technology is designed to defeat moderation. Every boundary you set, the algorithm learns to exploit. Every limit you impose, the content gets more compelling. So ultimately, it comes down to a choice. Not the choice TikTok offers, which video to watch next, but a real choice. What do you want your attention to be worth? What do you want to build with your time? Because your attention is the most valuable resource you have. Not your money, not your possessions. Your attention, where you direct it, determines what you become. And right now, you're directing it toward a machine designed to keep it forever. Think of attention like money. Every minute you spend is an investment. You're investing in something. The question is, what are you getting back? TikTok gives you entertainment, distraction, a brief dopamine hit. But what are you building? What if you invested that time in learning, in creating, in relationships, in sleep, in literally anything that compounds over time instead of disappearing into the void? 95 minutes a day, that's 24 days a year, over a decade, 240 days, 8 months of your life. What could you master in 8 months of focused attention? You could become a skilled artist, a competent musician, fluent in a language, in shape, well-read, financially literate, connected to your community, or you could know TikTok's trending sounds. And here's the test, the deathbed test. At the end of your life, what will you regret more? Not seeing every viral video or not building the life you actually wanted? This sounds dramatic, but it's not abstract. You are trading your life for this. Real hours, real days, real years. You are spending your existence watching other people's highlight reels. And maybe that's fine. Maybe you're okay with that. But most people aren't making that choice consciously. They're just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling on autopilot until one day they look up and wonder where the time went. So who's in control? Are you using TikTok or is TikTok using you? And if you're not sure of the answer, that should terrify you. Here's a simple test. Try to not open TikTok for 24 hours, just one day. If you can do it easily, you're in control. If you can't, you already know what that means. And be honest, how many times have you told yourself, just 5 more minutes? How many times have you opened the app without deciding to? How many hours have disappeared while you were just checking one quick thing? The algorithm doesn't care about your goals, your dreams, your potential, your relationships, your health, your time. It cares about engagement, and it's winning. But it doesn't have to. Every moment is a choice. Every time you reach for your phone, you're choosing. You can choose differently. It's harder, it's uncomfortable, but it's possible. So here's the final question. Not is TikTok evil? Not is the algorithm dangerous? But this, what do you want to do with your one, finite, irreplaceable life? Because you can spend it however you want. Watching, scrolling, consuming, or building, creating, connecting, living. The algorithm will always be there, waiting. The question is, will you? The TikTok algorithm isn't the enemy, it's just doing what it was designed to do. The question isn't whether it's evil, the question is whether you're willing to let it consume you, and that answer is entirely up to you.